Nathan here with Renegade Solutions Company. Wanted to make a video on how to diagnose your heater. I get a lot of questions. Hey, will your kit fix my problem? How do I know it is the problem? So if you're unsure, here's a few things you can look at. First thing is coolant level. Right here is the radiator and the radiator cap. You only check it cold. The engine has to be cold. If this is hot, there's pressure under there, it will come off. Under pressure, it'll burn you. It's bad. So engine cold, push down on the cap, twist it that way. You can pull it off and see coolant should be full like that. You're good to go there. The other thing to check is the overflow bottle. Some people mistake and think, oh, that's full, we're good to go. That's just the overflow. So as the radiator temperature, the engine temperature goes up, coolant expands, it overflows into that bottle and it goes back into the engine. They both have to be full. You just fill it through this cap. Make sure you use the Nissan fluid. Another thing to look at is the heater hoses. You can tell a lot from the heater system just by checking out the hoses. They're a little hard to get to on these Nissan Rogues. Down here, it's these two hoses down there. They're really hard to get to. On some cars they're easy to get to. You can touch them. You have to be very careful. You will burn yourself. So on these Rogues, we recommend an infrared temperature gun like this. You can tell the temperature without having to touch anything. If one hose is cold and one is hot, you're not getting any flow. If both hoses are cold, then you're either low on coolant or not getting any flow. And if they're both hot, they both have good temperature, you're probably getting good enough heat to produce in the cabin. That's probably not your problem. We'll go inside the vehicle and I'll show you a couple things. On these controls, if you have a dual zone system, which means the passenger side and the driver's side have separate temperature controls, and the passenger side operates normally, you get switching from hot air to cold air, but the driver's side does not operate normally, it's probably a stripped out blend door. If you have a single zone system, which means there's one temperature control that controls both sides and it's not switching temperatures, that's probably still the problem. And our kit will permanently fix that. The heater box is behind this dashboard. All the controls, the whole dashboard, steering wheel and steering column, center console, all have to come out in order to replace that heater box. That's why it's a big, expensive, messy job. You can access it to work on it, like replace the motor or install our kit. That's what we'll be looking at. It's behind this panel here, so this panel comes off, this panel comes off, and this panel comes off. So that's what you'll do to look at it, and we'll go check out what's under there. Here's a better view of that heater box that's inside the Nissan Rogue. I have a detailed video on how to take this apart. I'll put a link somewhere so you can see that if you're not familiar with it. If you want to look at it, I'm just going to be real brief here. There's two screws on this vent. Then the vent comes off. They're hard to get to, it's hard to do. Two screws on this motor, sometimes it's called an actuator. It pulls straight off. There's a tab, it unplugs. This is what it looks like. What you're going to find is some damage here. There'll be little shredded bits of plastic, maybe some grease sticking out of there. There'll be one or two cracks, and this will be rounded out instead of a nice hex shape. This is one of those doors out of there. It switches from hot to cold to switch the temperature. The motor engages it like this, and when it's working, the motor is able to turn it from hot to cold, no problem. When it strips out, the motor moves, and the door stays on one temperature. So that's the problem. Our kit permanently fixes that. Now, one thing you can do to test it is use an 8mm or 5/16 Allen wrench. If you just gently twist this, you want to insert it gently and gently twist it. You don't want to cause any more damage. You go clockwise, there's a gentle stop. That's heat. If you just hold it there, you should get hot air out of the vents. If you go the other way to a gentle stop, that's cold. It only moves about a third of a turn, third of a rotation. So don't put too much pressure on it. That's another way you can check that out. One other idea that might help you out is a battery reset. So what happens is the actuator motor will spin this blend door and it goes from hot to cold. And at each stop, the computer sees the stop, it knows where the temperature's set, and it can figure out everything in between. When it strips out, the motor will sit there and spin and spin. The computer a lot of times will see it as a fault and shut it down, especially on the newer Rogues. It seems to happen more. If you're wanting to just check out your heating or cooling system, you can reset it by disconnecting the battery for an hour, sometimes overnight, to drain everything down. When you hook up the battery and start the vehicle, the motor will operate again. And a lot of times it'll catch a little bit, especially at first when these first fail. The doors will catch a little bit, so it'll spin again, maybe catch, go to heat, and you've got heat coming out. Or inversely, The air conditioning, if you're trying to check that out, go to cold and you get cold air. Well, that way you know that your heating or cooling system is functioning and working. It's capable of producing the temperature, and you can keep going on with your diagnosis. I see a lot of people online. I get phone calls sometimes. Oh, I tried this and it worked, or I tried this and it worked for a little while and then it didn't. And then especially when the temperature changes outside, people find out what they tried didn't work. It's because of this principle. And sometimes if you unplug that motor and plug it back in, that's enough to reset the function from the computer to make it work. And then people say, oh, it works, but it's never long term. So I hope it helps you to diagnose a little bit easier. If you have any other questions, want to know more, contact us at renegadesolutionscompany.com.